What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about something that I really want from Scream 5 and kind of elaborate on it. This is actually something that I've considered making videos on the other movies, and I probably will. In fact, I actually kind of did one on Scream 4, but it's meddling. I hope that this new movie has zero meddling, and I want to kind of explain what I mean by that. So, what's interesting to me, okay, I would say the more I've talked about this, the longer I've talked about this, the more I've rewatched the movies, watched the TV show, right? We've talked about that. I really feel like Scream is getting up there in terms of my favorite franchises of all time. Probably top 2 or 3. I'd argue, and that's not horror. It's number 1 horror. That's in general, okay? And what's so interesting about it to me, especially the more I kind of learn about it, especially behind the scenes, is how it seems like none of them beside, this is just my opinion, and we'll talk a little bit about the factual stuff, but it seems like none except for the first movie was really what it was originally intended to do. And I don't even know how much, in the first movie there was there, because it's not really talked about how the creation with Kevin Williamson, how that came about, and anything after that. We know the beginning with Casey and stuff like that. Some of that had to be toned down for age ratings and stuff. But what I kind of mean is Scream 2 was, they had to do all these different leaks, and there was the report that maybe it was leaked completely online, so they had to redo it. And then sometimes you'll see people that say that that didn't happen, and that the plan for Mickey and Mrs. Loomis was always the plan, and they say the draft that had, Derek and all them being the killer, that was fake, that was to throw people off. But then some people say, no, that was actually real, and they had to redo it. And then you listen to Jamie Kennedy talk and stuff, and it's obviously there was a lot of stuff that happened with 2, and they don't find out certain things till, whenever, because they're still working on them. So my point is, you look at Scream 2, there was a lot of issues, I think. I personally believe. Scream 3 seems relatively, untouched, although obviously you had some problems there as well. And I think, so to me, it's really Scream 2 and Scream 4. Scream 3, I think, had things that maybe it didn't come out fully as intended, by everybody or the main creatives involved. And then you look at Scream 4, and we talked about this in the video, right? The beginning to that movie is really, there was the alternate cut that you can watch, you know what I mean? Then there was maybe the first version of the script in which that it was going to be Sydney. So already it's holy Jesus, already the movie is, and I get it, there are only certain parts to the movie, but sometimes those are, those are big deals. You have the ending as well, the complete ending in terms of what they wanted it to go on with 5 and 6, and then what we, ended up actually getting. So my question for 5, I know the entire time, I'm sorry about that, the entire time was talking about the past movies, but it's important. It's important because, when you hear the directors talk for this one, when you hear everybody, Neve, all of them talk, it really sounds like this one is the one, and there's a lot of hope for it. There's a lot of hype for it, and even from the test screening people, which if you want to believe them, go ahead. If you don't want to, that's okay. But even the people that saw it test screening wise, or people that had inside information, say it's their favorite one besides 1. So it goes 1 and then 5, and then Scream and then Scream, as some would say, which I actually think is kind of stupid. Anyway, I like that. I'm very excited about that. I really hope this movie is the second best one. I guess maybe that's, immediately going in thinking a little bit less of it, but I think it's so hard to, be better than the first movie. It's very hard to recreate that in any sense, ever. But I think what could give this one a leg up, and that's why, what's one of these things that I want of this movie, is no messing around, okay? And by messing around, I don't mean trying out different ideas or even borrowing ideas of the past and doing something like that, but with your own stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about let's let these people that want to do it, that claimed, these 2 directors, right? They've talked so much about how they're huge fans of the franchise. This is a main thing in their life. Let them do it. And honestly, I wish this happened more often, because what tends to happen, I think this happens with games, I cover a lot of games on the channel, movies, when you have this meddling by studios or certain executives, but you only kind of hear that, right? You say oh, it was meddled with by studio executives. You can sometimes place names to that, like a blaming game, you know what I mean? You can place them, but sometimes you can't. And I would just say, if you just let them do it, you know what I mean? It's been long enough. let these, and this is again an issue I think in general with movies and games. I even think Jamie Kennedy has talked about it too, where it's like, all these people that make these decisions, they think they're so smart, but they're all, well, I'll insert this part. I don't think he said this. They're all idiots, in my opinion. These are the people that, sure, they manage the money and manage the franchises, but it's the people below them that make them literally anything. It's what makes them special. It's not the producer, I guess like certain producers, right? But it's not these big names, the Weinsteins, let's say. It's not because of them. It's because of, Wes's vision. It's because of Kevin Williamson's ideas. It's because of the acting. I mean, you know what I mean? So let them do it. And if they fail, and that's I don't want to like discount that, by the way, too, because for as much as I do love the franchise and love like anything Scream, I don't want to like just let it off easy. Or if the movie's bad, like I want to be able to say that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to like pretend that I like it if the movie's trash. And I really hope that doesn't happen in the first place. But my point is, at least we know like who to blame, you know what I mean? But and not even necessarily, like that's kind of half of it. So in my opinion, that's half of it. You know what I mean? We would know, okay, well, we can blame the writers because there was no meddling. The writers wrote it, and I believe there's 2 of them, right? And they looked over each other's work. They did some fact checking and all that stuff. And so if the writing sucks, it's because of them. You know what I mean? We can place that, but at least we give them the chance to these directors. Maybe they have this vision, being lifelong fans of Scream. Let them direct. Don't go change. And I guess to their credit, so far we've heard nothing about that. But I will find what I think will be interesting, right? Like we don't hear about this Scream 4 stuff until after the movie came out. I mean, think about all the stuff. I think even the stuff about like the whole ending it and then going to college and all that stuff. I feel like that only came out in the last couple years. So like it really took, let's just say, like 5 to 10 years to get it all. And I don't think it'll take that long to hear some behind the scenes stuff for this movie, maybe like 2 to 4, maybe like half the time, especially if there's more movies, especially if there's like one after the other. But like I will be interested to hear that stuff though, because it's like, well, what, like say Dewey dies, just say it, you know what I mean? He dies. Was in their original script he doesn't die, and then somebody came in and like forced that on them, or the other way around, so like I want to know that stuff, and I want to, like, I don't know, it's just it's a thing with me. It's not really something I've spoken up with, but I want these guys to, like, I want them to be allowed to do the stuff. And I know it's probably a naive mindset to have, especially, like, I know it. I don't talk about, movies all that much, but I understand, Hollywood is not really run about myself. I personally believe this. It's not run by these little guys, and not that directors are little guys, but it's, the people above them. Those are the decision makers. That's how the bigger decisions get made in really any of the stuff, or again, those changes. Even the whole idea of the Sydney attack in the opening of 4, where they said, the Weinstein said, like, it would slow down the movie to have her be attacked and then come in at the halfway point. I mean, that's close enough to what the movie did. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how you couldn't have done a younger cast. And not, I'm not freaking out because we didn't get that scene, and like, it's not like a thing I'm gonna, talk about for the next 50 years. But you know what I mean? It's like, well, like, can't you just let them do their idea and see? I get it. I mean, if it fails, you're gonna lose money, or you think you're gonna lose money. But that's something personally for me. You just read all these stories of 2 having some trouble, and 3 seem to have a little bit of trouble, and 4, really, again, 2 and 4, in my opinion, had like a lot of like the meddling and just, again, kind of the sense of like the movie that came out wasn't the movie that was probably designed to have. And even like 4, right, the script had to be rewritten in some parts, like they kicked Williamson out and all that stuff. So I mean, 4 I think had probably the most issues of the bunch, but like I just get that sense of like the movies that came out, sure, they're great. I mean, I love all of them. 3 is definitely, in my opinion, the weakest one by a lot, but it's actually got some of the better moments in the entire franchise in it. I believe that. So, I love them all to death, and I'll always love them, and I'll always rewatch them. But like, you get the feeling, especially when you read the stuff, that like they weren't what they were supposed to be. Like, there was just something for all of them, except for seemingly one that had, some sort of meddling. And it's like, I want to know. I guess right now I'd like to know if 5 has any of that. Right now it seems like it has none, and that's great. That's fantastic, because again, if it succeeds, give out the praises. We know who to give them out to. If it fails, well, we know who to blame. I mean, these people, that I don't care. That's the thing with me. It's like, I'm gonna give these guys credit now, but I mean, if this movie sucks, I mean, you know exactly who to blame, and I don't want them ever touching it again. You know what I mean? Or maybe they'll never nobody will touch it again because they destroy the franchise. Those are things that could happen. But at least we know. You know what I mean? If we hear studio meddling, well, okay. I mean, can we just freaking get a can we get a version that that everybody kind of wanted in the beginning? Can that version kind of come to life? That's what I want. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed. Bell icon turned on so you guys know when all these videos go up. Thank you so much for all the support you've been giving me on these Scrim videos. I've tried to make as many as possible. I've really had a lot of fun with them. More, not necessarily every day, but pretty much every day on the channel. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my second channel or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for them all are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.